Welcome to This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your local experts on all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Listen in as they discuss the current state of the market, the latest trends, and have a little fun while doing it. We do want to say the opinions voiced on this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individuals. All right, y'all, we're back with another week of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale. Pew, 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 pew.
I had high expectations, Trent.
He had one extra pew.
There's an extra pew. All right.
You got nothing?
That's it. We're here. We're here.
Putting the plant in plantar fasciitis.
Oh, have you ever had that?
No.
Have you ever had that?
No,
That sounds
I hope
terrible.
I never get
I
it.
suffered through that like 2 years
Isn't
ago.
it warts?
No, it's like where there's like a tendon in your like in your in the bottom of your foot, and when it gets overworked, you get plantar fasciitis. And basically, just imagine like every time you stand up and the first few steps that you take. So especially in the morning when you roll out of bed, it's just excruciating pain. And it stunk, and like the there's no real treatment for it, and it just kind of.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Now we're ready.
I hope that everybody watching can hear that. There's no treatment for it, but like what you can do is like freeze a water bottle and roll your foot over the water bottle, or a tennis ball works. But yeah, after like 6 months, it just starts to get a little better, and like what you can do is
6 months?
Yeah,
That's
it takes a long time. And so, like, you can start exercising your calf muscles. That's one way to, like, because that strengthening your calf muscle and the way your foot works, it's amazing how our bodies work.
My calves are about the size. They're about the size of most people's thighs.
Yeah.
So, I got to tell you a funny story. My son McCoy and I, we were working out one day, and we'd gone sat in the sauna. This is over at Gold's Gym, and he goes, how do you get big calves like that? And he goes, because mine are kind of like, and I was like, well, if that's what yours say, what is mine saying? He goes, oh, like that. And I said, well, McCoy, the secret to nice big muscular calves like this is get really fat for about 15 years and walk around for, a lot during that time and then lose the weight. And he was like, he just kind of stared at me, and I said, yeah, I'm just kidding. Please don't do that to yourself.
That's not the right body.
But that's how it happened.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a special guest.
We do have a special guest. Welcome.
Hey.
How's it going, Robin?
It's going good. The sun is out. The weather is warming up. So I'm good.
Robin Seay, ladies and gentlemen, fellow realtor, one of the 10 or 15 or so in the county that I like. So
I'm glad to make that list.
yeah.
We were at the Diplomat meeting this morning, and we had coffee right after that. And so it was like, hey, Robin, join. She did not plan on being here, so
I did not.
she's coming in with some fresh ideas and no real game plan. So anything she says is honest truth.
All right.
I'm just glad I was dressed for the occasion.
Well, that's what I was just about to ask this question. So is this like, do you normally dress, or is this for Diplomat meeting? Because I'll be honest, man, if I'm not, this is how I dress on camera. So imagine if I know I'm not getting on camera.
It depends on the day and what I've got going on, but I feel like the Diplomat meetings are like a fashion show. Like, you can't show up and not, with the women anyways.
I was going to say,
Like,
Bryan didn't get the
at
memo.
least with the women, it's a little bit of a fashion show, but I was like, hey, I'm feeling fancy this morning.
Well, always a pleasure to talk with you and hear your insights, and I'm excited to get into the meat of the show.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she's going to teach me something, because
Don't
I have
bank
lots
on,
to learn.
Don't bank on that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm absolutely banking on that. All right, Trent.
It's far away.
Headlines.
Yeah.
To you.
So headlines, you got the first one, I think.
Yeah, so the Fed Open Market Committee is meeting right now. We know there's no change coming to the interest rates this week. They're not going to make any adjustments to the Fed target funds rate. So it'll be interesting to see like how the market responds to what they have to say in their minutes this afternoon. So this afternoon, Jay Powell will address the media, and what he has to say will kind of dictate where they will tell us where they think things are going. And the consensus right now is that they think that there's not enough progress in inflation in order to reduce rates further at this point. We'll kind of get a sense of how they think the rest of the year is going to go. I'm telling you, this is a wild card year. with looming tariffs and unemployment seemingly kind of on its way up. It's a wild card for the end of the year. We don't know because tariffs are inflationary, but they could also result in job loss, which would be recessionary. And so it's just kind of like, man, well, how's this all going to play out?
So, Robin, I don't know if you watch our show. We talk about this a lot, and I've learned a ton from him about just some of the ways that things go, and I've got so many thoughts on this. So, when you first learn the scientific method, right? Go way back to sixth grade or whatever it was. You first learn the scientific method. One of the main things that you're taught is that you can only test one variable at a time.
Oh yeah,
and it seems like right now we've got all of them. It's
We're gonna check them off one at a time.
Yeah. We're just gonna throw them all out there at once and stir it up and see what happens.
I'll say one thing about interest rates though that I think will be key to watch is how they and because remember the Fed does not decide mortgage rates. Mm-hmm. What decides mortgage rates is investors' dollars and
sentiment
and investors looking for return. And if they start to feel that the stock market is too volatile and too risky, they look to go to safer investments, such as bonds and mortgage-backed securities. And if if the banks can offer a lower return to an investor to attract their dollars, investment dollars, then that means that interest rates should go lower. But
that hasn't completely held true even through this whole social experiment that we've had, and that's why we've had that widening gap.
That gap between the 10-year and the 30-year, like the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage. Yes, there's been that gap. It's starting to shrink a little bit.
It feels like at this point it feels like a money grab.
And it might be, but I think there's just not a lot of liquidity because remember for basically since the Great Recession, like 2008, you had the Fed was buying a lot of mortgages. So when we think historically it's been a 2% spread, well, for a solid 12 to 14 years run there, any mortgage that got done was subsidized by the Fed buying it. So
that's a good point.
That helped shrink that gap for a long time.
That's a good point.
So to shrink the gap further, you need more liquidity, and that's going to come in the form of more investors willing to buy mortgage-backed securities. So it should accelerate that shrinking. I would think, and I'm not an economist, but that's my 2 cents.
Well, Robin, one of the things that I've seen, and I know you've seen this as well, is that as we talk about interest rates, that's one of the big driving factors on people making a move in real estate, and especially if somebody's sitting at a 2 or 3 or even a 4% rate in their current home, they're very reluctant to list that house and give up that rate unless they truly have to do it. Yep. And so as we do this though, or as we go through it, especially the last 16 months or so, what I have found is on the other side, buyers, it's like we've broken it down a little bit. And, at the beginning, say 16 months ago, it was, well, why aren't you buying right now? Well, interest rates are too high. And it was almost uniform across the board. And now interest rates have stayed around. We're 2+ years now at this point,
and solidly at the 6s. And bouncing between mid 6s to mid 7s.
And so people are I'm not gonna say numb to. They're definitely affected by.
I think they're accepting it more.
Yes,
the 2s and 3s are a thing of the past.
So now it's like, well, why aren't you buying? And it's a gazillion answers. It is, I'm scared about my job loss. I'm scared about Doge. I'm scared about Russia. I'm scared about, we could almost sit here and brainstorm all the anxieties that are.
We just had this conversation at coffee. It was like, it's all the reasons why now that's not the interest rates. It's the jobs. It's the security. It's all the things but the interest rates now. And it's honestly a great time for buyers right now because they have tons of negotiating power.
That's it.
Those that are willing to take on the risk of purchasing a home.
If you can afford it, it's a great time as a buyer.
Are getting all kinds of concessions and offers.
Some other fun things. I just read this. So you guys realize that we're at the point right now where a lot of those adjustable rates and the 3-in-1s and all of that stuff, they're coming to fruition. Yeah. Like the earliest ones
right now, they're starting to hit their 2-year window.
And so, 3, 4, 5 years ago, when people would be like, oh, there's going to be this huge glut of foreclosures again, blah, blah. And I'm like, you've lost your mind. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
It's highly likely now.
There's a possibility that we'll see a little spike in that. I'm not going to say a huge glut like in '08.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing that I always said through all this was like, well, if I ever get to a spot where I've got a rate in the 2s, right?
Yep.
And if I ever get to a spot where I can't make my mortgage payment, I'll go get money out of my 401k before I move.
Absolutely.
Right? I'll do other things before I move. I will sell my house before I take a foreclosure.
But if it's taking 6 months to sell your house,
may not be able
and
to
the
avoid
bank
it.
moves swiftly,
Yeah. And if there's if there's a limited pool of borrowers because of unemployment and people can't get approved for a mortgage,
well, and
then that house that you thought you were going to sell and get all that equity out, if you see this coming, a pro tip might be not to wait for
move quick,
not to
Yep.
wait. Go ahead and accept it now.
That's right. Prune it. You
Yeah.
know, and 3 years ago it was like, oh well, there won't be all these foreclosures because there's so much equity.
Yeah.
Well, then was it 2 weeks ago when we did, or maybe it was 3 weeks ago, we talked about the erosion of equity.
Yeah.
So people are leveraged through their noses right now. The
Yeah.
credit card debt is higher now than it has been
Yep.
since
Yeah.
before '08.
Yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
So all the things that I thought were reasons why that wasn't going to happen are, I'm not going to say they're gone, but they're definitely less. They're definitely eroding.
Yeah.
And that worries me, y'all. That worries me.
Well, do you have anything else that you want to share as a headline?
As a matter of fact, Brian, I do. So I participate in a lot of different conversations on here, and John Turner, you guys probably all know
Oh, yeah.
John,
Love John.
shared some stats. He compiles a little spreadsheet. It looks like probably once a week. And, Rutherford County, Robin, what's a starter home in Rutherford County cost right now?
Townhouse or single family house? 'Cause
Single family.
Single 425.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 350 at the very, very, very lowest, right?
You're on like the MTSU side of town.
Right, but pretty much it's gonna start with a 4 or a 3.9
High threes,
something.
yeah.
So anything sub 300 in Rutherford County, very good possibility it's a townhouse.
Yep.
But there are a handful of houses, some fixer uppers and things like that. But by and large, anything under 300 that's habitable, it's gone, and it's gone quick. Right.
Even through everything we've gone through.
Doesn't matter because it's affordable housing,
Yeah.
right? When we talk about affordable housing, under 300,
Yeah.
even at current rates, is still what I would consider
Yeah.
affordable.
Yeah.
It just doesn't hardly exist in Rutherford County. So John shared a spreadsheet, and one of the things in there's 61 active listings. This was as of beginning of last week.
Okay.
61 active listings under 300K in Rutherford County. Okay, not very many, right? When I bought my house, I paid $155 for my house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My first house,
Yeah.
not the house I'm in now.
Yeah.
But of those, in the week prior to 310 is when he shared this. Only 26% of them went under contract. So, and it's at a 2.2 month supply of that price point. That is a price point that should have like a less than 1 month supply.
Yep.
And when it's listed, it's gone unless it's just an absolute disaster, right? And I mean,
But for there to be that many, that's not the case. It's not.
no,
it's
there's not
a few
61
outliers.
The
disasters.
fact that buyers have that many choices in affordable housing is just not a thing we've been used to.
And properties are sliding down into that price
Yeah.
point. That's the other thing,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? They're starting above it and they're sliding down into it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that in a long time, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
You heard it here first. The market's changing.
Yeah, and I think it's okay for us to have a little bit of a price reduction.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, or retraction rather. Go back to what you were saying just a minute ago. If we're seeing that happen, and you're counting on holding on to the last minute, and you cash out that equity, there's a decent chance that the value of your house, right? You're going to lose. I put air quotes on it because if you paid 200 and it's worth 450, you never really had 250K. I'm
Right.
just telling
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're going to lose some of that value, so you got to be careful right now. And,
Well, and-
if you're starting to get in trouble,
Yeah.
rip the Band-Aid off, baby.
What if you're banking on the money from the sale of that home to get into a new home or to do something?
Yeah.
You may hand tie yourself.
You might hand tie yourself and you're lessening your profit from that house.
And it's important to
And your ability to buy.
Yeah.
And I think we think of real estate. I hate it when real estate gets commoditized.
Right.
And that's what happens when you have industrial buyers and hedge fund buyers. Real estate is, to me, it's home. It's where families live. It's where people do life, right? So keep in mind too, when we're saying these things, the person that's hearing you might, be looking forward to this summer by their pool, or having their daughter come down the stairs in a prom dress in a couple months, or no, that's like right now, isn't it? That's that's prom season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
But that's my point is, we're talking about where people live and not just a commodity. So I
get that, but if your house was on fire, you wouldn't say, "Hold on, flames."
Right? No,
you know what I'm saying?
It's just it's to me. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying like, remember the families and the impacts of these conversations and these and the economy and the decisions that are made way over anybody that's watching this show's level can make. Those factors affect real people in a real life way.
For sure. And my response to that is this: your family is where your house is, where your home is, right? It's not the building that you're in.
That's a good point.
And if you have found yourself in a situation, your fault or not, doesn't matter. I don't care about fault. Right.
Yeah.
Right? There's one of my favorite books of all time is how not the subtle art of not giving a
yeah.
You know that book?
What's the last word?
It rhymes with duck. Anyway, my favorite thing about that is that he talks about there's a big difference, even though we tend to equate them in this country. There's a big difference in fault and responsibility.
Yep.
Okay. So you losing your job might not be your fault, but you do have a responsibility out of that to your family.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
And so,
concept.
I don't care whose fault it is. When you fix the situation and you stabilize, you can blame Trump, you can blame Biden, you can blame Obama, you can blame Clinton, you can blame Bush, you can blame, whoever, Bill Haslam. I don't care who you blame at that point.
Yeah.
That's up to you, right? You can blame yourself, you can blame your mama,
But you
whatever.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and take responsibility.
Take responsibility for your situation.
Take it to the next stage of that.
And living in denial is not going to help you.
Well, and if you're watching right now and you're like, oh gosh, thank God that's not me. I'm fine. Take heed and make good decisions right now.
File it away and hear those words if it does matter.
And do things now that can help, like, eat out less, save more of your paycheck,
pay off the HELOC.
Yeah, get your debt manageable now while you still have the ability to do so.
Go deliver pizzas or whatever and get that HELOC paid off, because this volatility. Here's what else I know. We've been talking for a couple years now about this soft landing, right? The Fed wants to pull off a soft landing.
Yeah.
It is my opinion, and I'm more crystallized about this now than I have been, that is a bad idea. That the best thing what they should have done, in my opinion, is when they said, "Oh crap, inflation is out of control, and we've got 30+% a year on housing inflation," or whatever, right? Yeah. Pick your item, whatever it happens to be. They should have said, "There's only one way to fix this," and what have we said the whole time, Brian? There's got to be some pain.
Got to have some pain.
There's got to be some pain. So jack the rate up. Don't try to soft land it.
Yeah.
Let us hurt, but let us hurt for this amount of time.
Yeah.
Period.
Rather than all of this anxiety and mental anguish that we've had for this whole period of time.
Yep.
That's how I look at it. Rip the Band-Aid off, baby.
Good point.
Wow. Heavy conversation.
Got Brian speechless over here.
That's rare right there. That is rare.
I like I'm going to use what you did there, what you introduced me to, that concept of default and responsibility with my 14-year-old son.
Uh-oh.
Good luck.
Thanks.
I'll pray for you, buddy.
Let us know how that conversation goes.
Yeah. Can you record that? That'd be awesome.
We had a day yesterday.
Yeah.
Aww.
Just leave it there.
He's a good kid.
He is a good kid.
He's a good kid. But look, man, I'm 45 and I still need to have that conversation sometimes.
Hey, we all do.
I think we all do, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's go to
Please, God,
This Is
yes.
Real. Have a good.
And let's let Robin have first comment on this.
Yeah.
Is that a sink? What is that, a refrigerator above it? A mini fridge?
Is it the water heater?
I think
It's water heater.
I think it's the water heater.
It looks like a mini fridge.
It does kind of look like a mini fridge. Is it in a bedroom?
That's a It's
Is a chandelier painted on the wall?
I think it's like a wall, like a wall art.
I'm
like
looking at the light string that's coming down out of the ceiling to no light.
Oh yeah.
That's the pull string to turn the chandelier on for their 1-year-old.
My question is this before renovation or is this the final product?
This is active listing on the MLS in some market
Somewhere, yeah.
Somewhere.
I'm gonna censor my comments because
I just love that we can. I think carpet in a bathroom space is.
I don't think it's officially a bathroom. I think somebody put the bathroom in the bedroom. This is now an ensuite bedroom.
Okay.
Ensuite.
imagine being there with your significant other and be like, "Hey, honey, I got to do my business."
Halls.
Shout out to my buddy Greg. I love Greg. Greg Hall's a good dude, and he's had some interesting things on the Book of Faces.
Imagine waking up
today.
and you're just like going about your Wednesday, and somebody's like, "Have you looked at Facebook yet?" And your business is tagged in somebody's complaint about how they just blew up your bathroom.
I have no doubts about it that whoever listed this house definitely has a selfie picture in the true bathroom in this listing photo somewhere.
No, maybe, but actually, they probably have a selfie sitting on this commode with that mirror behind them.
These are not professional photos.
Oh,
These
man.
are definitely iPhone photos.
And what you don't know is that this is an apartment in Manhattan that rents for $6,000 a month.
Yeah, right. This is it. That's what this is. This is it. This is the picture for that listing.
Yeah,
It's
the
room you get.
basement of some brownstone in Manhattan.
I mean, to give the agent credit, they're probably like, a professional photographer can't do much with this, but I'm still paying professional photos on this listing as much as it
On
pays.
every listing.
Every listing gets it.
The window
The
seal.
description. I would like to know what the remarks say on this one.
Carpeted bathroom.
Carpeted bathroom.
Fresh new carpet.
Carpet in the bathroom.
Be the first to ruin this
Yeah,
carpet.
you'll be the first one to.
Oh man.
Ooh.
This is lovely, Trent. Good job.
Yeah,
Thanks
that
for
was
bringing
a
us
good
out of
one.
that last
That was
conversation.
a
Yeah.
good one. Oh man. Are we
So
already
many
to?
questions.
I know. That was a good one.
All right, so we go on.
I'm going to start requiring you to give us the link for the MLS. on
I
these.
don't know how Missy finds these. So shout out to Missy as
Good
always.
job, Missy.
Are we already to Shiny Penny?
Yeah.
See,
No, I'm just kidding.
Shiny Penny.
Yeah, you got one.
That's a hard one.
You're a shiny penny. You came and joined us today.
Let's
That was so sweet.
So let's lean into that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Shiny Penny, we got a guest in the studio today, Robin Seay. She's an amazing realtor. She's a wonderful person.
I'm not going to go amazing. She's adequate at least.
She is.
Don't be a hater, Jonathan.
No, adequate's good. For me, adequate's good.
She's an awesome
I'm
person.
adequate.
Not just an amazing realtor, but she is just an awesome person. So Robin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ooh. So yeah, I'm coming up on 10 years in real estate, so I'm
Yeah.
still tripping over that part.
Yeah.
Very active in the community. We have an amazing community.
We do.
We have so many great organizations and nonprofits, and our community rallies around each other when times are tough. Hey, Kim.
Oh, there you go.
I know. She's so cute, though.
Kimmy, get down.
I know. Look, I'm getting you in trouble. I'm sorry. Came from Wilson County, grew up in Wilson County, and moved here to go to MTSU, and went to that gas station or the convenience store over there. And
Davis
Market.
Market, center of the
they
universe.
say if you go
You're
in
stuck.
there, you are stuck.
Cheers.
And I don't think I could pick a better place to be stuck. So.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the cosmos, baby.
Yeah. We got some cool stuff coming up in the community
Yeah.
too.
Backstage Bash is in April.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. Some friends of ours are helping plan that this year. So
Robin, are you going to be attending that?
I will not be in attendance this year, unfortunately.
That was
it'll be a
Shiny
fun
Penny.
time. The Backstage Bash raises money for the Murfreesboro Center for the Arts, and I'm a big supporter of the arts.
And if you're
fan of
not
what they
familiar
do.
with Center for the Arts, they put on some amazing
Yeah,
shows.
they
And they
do.
do some good stuff in the
Yeah.
community as well.
And art galleries and classes.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Camps.
Camps, summer
it's
camps.
not just a
Yeah.
theater. There's so many cool things that
Yeah.
happen in that building. They
Yeah.
do a remarkable job.
Yeah.
And it's all kinds of different art endeavors,
Yeah.
Right.
from visual to performing to whatever.
Musicals, plays,
all of the above. Yeah. What a great resource. And, there's a couple of other small theaters. Consider this Murfreesboro Little Theater, some of these others that are here in our community. But Center for the Arts is most definitely the crown jewel, I guess you could say, as far as that realm goes. And they do a great job. I'm happy to
it's like a
support
hidden gem, though. Like, I don't feel like a ton of people really know about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's right in the middle of downtown. It's
beautiful building.
It's a beautiful building. I think Regina Ward has done fantastic with transitioning that whole program. And yeah, it's
I'd say she's transforming it.
100%.
She's taking it to a new level.
Yep.
And I remember when they announced her as the new director, I was really happy.
Yeah.
I actually had bumped into her at a show at TPAC, and so I knew that she had an appreciation for the arts, and I think she's just. I don't want to speak for her, but I would imagine that she's very happy to have the opportunity to lead that organization.
Yep.
Very cool. Good stuff. Other stuff going on.
United Ways, Red, White, and Barbecue. It used to be Red, White, and Bayou, but now it's Red, White, and Barbecue this year. So a little change to the theme, but that's coming up.
Smoke and Barrel is tomorrow.
Is coming up. That's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow out
Hopefully
at
it doesn't snow.
Is it Copper Ridge? Is that where
Copper
that?
Ridge.
Yeah,
It's
Copper
a
Ridge.
gorgeous venue.
It is. That supports Kamari House, another organization that does incredible work. I'm a huge fan. Kamari House ultimately is how Cedar Glade exists.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Background
part of
story.
our origin
Yeah.
story.
Okay.
So
And then I'm going to do a shameless plug. Compass is having a trivia night that will benefit nonprofits like Isaiah 117. And if you're not familiar with them, their mission is amazing.
yeah.
So we're doing a trivia night April 9th to support that and to give back to the community as well.
I would challenge our audience as we mentioned some of these organizations, Isaiah 117, Kamari House. It doesn't tell you, like they don't say this organization is the name doesn't say that. So look it up.
Yeah.
Because both of those two that we just mentioned, they serve a niche population, I guess you could say, but one that is so incredibly important, and situations that I pray that you don't ever have to find yourself in.
Yep.
And you're listen, me neither. You're not doing the work that these organizations are doing to take care of this population that is, it's not even marginalized. It's just not thought about, right? So Kamari House helps in situations where there's court-ordered supervised visitation, and they facilitate those visitations between a parent and a child. So regardless of if that parent is a terrible human being or not, it's still the parent.
Yeah.
Right. And that kid still deserves to have some type of a relationship. And the court sees that, which is why they make them do supervised. Yep. But it gives them something other than an office. Yeah. Right. Like they can play, they can draw, they can color, they can.
Have real livable space.
A real livable space. And then Isaiah 117.
It's the first stop a kid, it's in the foster system, goes to when they get removed from their home. So if they get pulled from their home in the middle of the night, they have a safe bed, a nice warm bed to go to, and snacks and games where it feels like home, or sometimes it's better than home before they get put into the system. And
here's the thing, it might be overnight. It might be a day.
Yep.
It might be a week.
Yep.
I mean, they don't know.
Yeah.
Because of how that placement situation, and the alternative is they sit in an office, y'all.
Yeah.
They sleep in an office.
Yeah. And the social workers that do that, they don't get enough thanks. Like it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
And there's long hours, late nights, early mornings that they are dealing with these situations, and I can't imagine some of the things they see and some of the things they hear when they're helping these kids out. I can't imagine.
And it's got to be hard to take a kid from a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's got to be some situations where you're like, I just saved this kid's life.
Yeah. Or imagine like it's siblings, and there's a possibility the siblings can't all go together, and you're the one that has to be like, hey, I'm taking you away from your brothers and sisters and putting you in a new house.
So that's just two. And somebody told me the other day there's like 195 registered nonprofits just in Rutherford County. That's crazy, y'all.
That's wild.
And they're all doing good work.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I could sit here and just name them one after another after another. But those two in particular, especially with their events coming up.
Lots of shiny pennies.
Well, I want to add to your challenge of, if you have a passion for something, there's a nonprofit, I'm sure, that falls right in line with your passion.
Yeah.
Find a way to get involved or to give back to something you're passionate about.
They all of them, whether they need you to volunteer or not, they all need champions.
Yeah.
Right. They all need someone beating their drum out in the community, and getting recognition of the mission, right, and the need for it. I mean, I look at DVSA. I look at, good gracious, Amelia's Closet. Amelia's Closet's super unique. Like, it's a feel-good organization, right? Because of what they do, where they do it, and at what point in that person's life that they do it. It's a feel-good organization, but it's a necessity that I didn't even know was a necessity. So if you don't know what Amelia's Closet does, they take specifically women that are coming out of either abusive relationships or out of prison. Right. Either of those bad situations. Okay. But they're getting out of them, and they're ready to like dust themselves off, pull up their proverbial bootstraps, all of that kind of stuff.
Your whole country just came out on that one.
Yeah, I know. But I know. Here it was. But all they have is jeans and a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And so they struggle just with a very basic getting a job. And so, they bring in, Jody brings them in, and they give them a makeover. They do all of the things to help them learn some self-care and some clothes and a little bit of a leg up. It's donated clothes. So it's all free for the
business clothes.
It's business clothes. They can go get a job. They give them resume help. They give them interview skills. Like it's that little tiny gap that none of us even think about.
It's the things we don't think about. Like, we don't think about, like, do I have a blouse to go do an interview for? Do I have appropriate shoes?
Right. All I have is flip-flops.
All I have is flip-flops. And it's, try not to judge the people. They're doing the best they can in the situation they can. But organizations like Amelia's Closet come in, and we're going to fill those gaps in the places that you need some help in.
Yeah. I want to throw one other thing out there. And there's a Bible verse, and I'm going to butcher it. But anyway, in it, Paul says, basically, I too was ignorant, and I was a persecutor and a violent man, but I was forgiven because I acted in ignorance and unbelief, I believe is basically the verse. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite verses. And listen, I'm a guy, and I will sit here and I will tell you that in my younger years, I acted in ignorance and was just stupid. I said, well, why don't that homeless guy just go get a job?
We've all been there, and we've all done it, though.
Or I can think of all kinds of comments that I am guilty of making. Yeah. Right. And I'm okay to talk to you about them because I don't make those comments anymore, because I've educated myself and I've learned that maybe that homeless dude can't just go get a job because there's this space in there that they're over here and the job is over here, and they can't bridge that space. Right. I have that bridge. Right. But he doesn't, or she doesn't.
Well, so I used to go to the Nashville Rescue Mission to serve because I wasn't plugged in with Murfreesboro. I didn't know of all the amazing nonprofits we had. And a guy came in, and he had his uniform on. He worked for UPS. And one of the things I said to the girl serving next to me was like, well, he's got a job. Why is he at the homeless shelter getting free food? And I ended up having a conversation with the guy, and he just let me know that if he was in between, do I pay my bills or do I buy groceries? And he can come get a free meal at the food shelter.
He's trying to not be.
He's trying to not be in a worse situation than he's in.
Yeah.
It was things like that. I'm like,
just like it up.
It's okay. Just because he's at a homeless shelter doesn't mean he's homeless or he's not trying. He's trying the best he can.
Or the person pulls up to the Second Harvest grocery thing in a nice car, and you're like,
LaDonna Parham was here right now.
And they pulled up in a car nicer than mine. Dude, you don't know if they borrowed that car. You don't know if they just got out of a divorce or whatever, and that was the car that they got. I mean, you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
During COVID, we had this happen, actually. And if you know LaDonna, you know she is one of the sweetest, most soft-spoken people probably in Rutherford County.
Until she's not.
Until she's not. And this day she was not, because there was a comment made like that about they're pulling up in a brand new Cadillac or whatever the car was. How dare them come get free food? And LaDonna, she educated them real quick.
As I can only expect that she would.
Real quick.
Yes.
And then she went back to her sweet, very soft-spoken self.
Yeah. That's funny. I wish I could have seen that, actually.
That's a shiny penny.
That is definitely a shiny penny.
We found a lot of
shiny pennies this morning.
Yeah, I got a little preachy. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
That was good.
That was a good little conversation right there.
It was. All right, anything else?
We got a pro tip.
Pro tip.
Back to you.
Back to me.
Yep.
Okay. So we were talking earlier about people coming into these houses, putting in offers with no representation. What are your thoughts on buyers that come in and they say, hey, I'm going to save your seller 3%. I'm not going to use an agent.
Yeah. So many thoughts. Number one, that buyer doesn't understand that the compensation was negotiated between myself and my seller,
Yep.
completely and totally independent of that buyer.
So you can't negotiate what I've already negotiated with my seller as a buyer.
No, and for you to come in and say, yeah, look, okay, so let's go backwards a little bit. There's a foregone conclusion that, and this is the basis of the whole settlement thing that happened early last year. There's this foregone conclusion that if I list your house, I'm gonna list it for 3% or whatever, pick a number, and then offer another amount, right? And that you, as the seller, are going to pay the buyer's agent, right? And most of that stems from bad agents not explaining how buyer rep agreements and listing agreements work. Okay. The laws were already in place appropriately.
Always been in place.
But we
have not communicated it as we should.
We were lazy.
And it's crazy how many people are still to this day scared to have that conversation with the buyer or the seller.
Yeah. And so what I mean by all this is that at least in the state of Tennessee, the buyer representation agreement, as it has existed since 1997, by the way, that's when the state of Tennessee adopted buyer representation.
I am glad we had it
way before a lot of places.
This whole lawsuit. I am so glad.
And we were some pioneers in that, just so you know. But it's always been that a buyer hires an agent, and in the buyer rep agreement, there is compensation that's negotiated for the buyer to pay their agent. It's always been that way.
Yep.
Always.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we had what was called co-broker participation, which is where, as a buyer's agent, you come to me and I've offered you a co-broker participation, whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's a split off of that. Maybe it's not, whatever, right? There's some type of compensation offered. And so you come to me and you say, my buyer will take you up on that, basically, right? And so what I've always told my buyers is that you, buyer, are responsible for paying me, right? And here's the amount.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to try to negotiate for the seller to pick up the tab for you. But notice the words here. This is very important. To pick up the tab for you, not for the seller to pay me. That's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because think about this. If you pay me, who do I now work for?
Me.
That's right. Not Bryan. Right? And so if I represent Bryan and I say you paid me, I really work for you, not him. So, and I had this conversation with my favorite title company the other day. Even on our settlement statements, in my opinion, it's still wrong.
Yeah.
So it should show buyer agent compensation. This is my opinion. It should show it the same way that it shows closing costs, title expenses, all down the buyer's column.
Yeah.
And then where there is a what's the word I'm looking for? Concession.
Yeah.
Closing cost concession is shown over on the other side. There should be an agent concession.
Because right now the way it is, it's both on the seller side as buyer agent, seller agent.
That's right. And I think that is still not correct.
But so you can go down the rabbit hole of all of that. But at the end of the day, you've got home buyers who are entering the biggest transaction, one of the biggest financial decisions they'll make of their life with no representation.
Yeah. And so
because this facilitation thing is not what they think it is.
It's a joke, dude.
And I don't think that, I think as real estate gets commoditized by, and I've used that word a couple of times today, you lose sight of the fact that there's a lot that goes into a successful real estate transaction. And a buyer's agent is worth paying for.
Have you ever seen there's a flow chart that exists, and it's something like 82 things or something that a buyer's agent does in a transaction.
Yeah.
Like individual little pieces. And here's the other thing. When I train new agents, I always tell them, number one, you need to understand this. So I'm coming back to what you just said, okay, is there is nothing that you do for a client that they couldn't, there's the word, do for themselves. Yep. Okay. Could I watch a YouTube video or read some article or whatever and do it for myself? Yes. Yes, you can, buyer or seller. Yeah. You sure could, right? My only job then is to make your life easier and safer. Yep. Unlike insurance. Yeah. Easier and safer. So when I do that, or when I don't do that, when you're unrepresented as a buyer, you've got to figure out those 82 steps on your own or skip some of them, which
a lot gets skipped.
A lot gets skipped. Yep. A whole lot. And stuff that protects you. Yep. Right? Yeah. So, and you mentioned the facilitator thing. Robin, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, we'll just default to facilitator.
My true thoughts or my censored thoughts?
Don't censor. Let's go.
We're gonna keep it clean and professional. I look too cute today to be ugly.
Love it.
You can't truly facilitate first and foremost, because if you as a seller are hiring me, I work for you. I represent you. So then if I come in and you are unrepresented and I'm facilitating, I'm still technically working for you because I'm making sure that you're getting your stuff turned in on time, your documents are signed, the whole 9 yards. So therefore, I'm not working for you now because I don't have your best interest, because gotta kind of make sure I got his best interest at the same time, because gotta make sure he's got his loan documents taken care of and he's got his appraisal ordered.
You have a duty to one party or the other.
Yeah. So when you try to work both, you don't have anybody's good interest in either side of it. Yeah. And it gets sticky.
Do you know Robert Do
Okay.
you know Robert Morris?
I don't.
Love that guy. You should meet him. He's a riot.
Smyrna. He's at the Park Smyrna office. I don't know where he's at.
I have no idea, but he teaches a lot as well. And his line, whenever I took the core class from him, is you dance with the one that brung you. Yeah. That's what he always said. Yeah. Right. And so I'm going to elaborate on what you just said. If I list your house, in the process of listing it, I'm going to learn all kinds of stuff. I'm going to learn how much you owe on the house. I'm going to learn, what your bottom line is. I'm going to learn some of the ins and outs of the place. I'm going to learn, it's just natural as an agent. I should know all of these things. Okay. So technically, default to facilitator status means that you no longer represent anybody. So you're just facilitating the transaction. Now, the way that's supposed to work is that since you're not anybody's agent, you're not supposed to offer anybody advice. You're not supposed to give any kind of discernment or whatnot to each other. You're literally just not even really interpreting, just plugging in and enacting what's in the contract. And they're telling you everything to do to make it happen, and you're facilitating the interaction between the two parties.
And then where it comes, the headache comes, is because, again, you've learned everything about the client, you've learned everything about their house.
Impossible, right?
We also have to disclose facts about things. So if I know that there's a leak underneath the house, I have to do the due diligence of telling you that the house has a leak in it. But now I don't have their best interest, but I don't have your best interest.
But we signed a representation. It's ugly.
It gets very icky.
It gets ugly.
And anybody that says that they can do it and they can do it flawlessly, I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
I think it's a joke.
Well, in the state of Tennessee, it's still legal to be a dual agent.
Yeah.
Like to have the agency relationship on both sides and have a fiduciary responsibility to both. I don't even know. It's not logically possible.
That's wild to me. And I just think how many steps there are along the process where a transaction might fall through. And there's so many points where somebody can get cold feet, somebody can get nervous about something, somebody can change their mind. Yeah. And a good buyer's agent, if you're selling a house, and I almost feel like I would want to sell it to my home to somebody who has a good buyer's agent, because hey, we're not in that heyday of market where this is, the buyer of my house is waiving the inspection. The buyer of my house is going to get an inspection in 2025. And there may be something that I didn't know about on my house. That
I almost guarantee there is.
That could cause that buyer, whether it's legitimately concerning or not, to get spooked and want out of the deal. And a good buyer's agent can go, hey, look, I've got somebody that can come out and really tell us if this foundation's an issue.
Yeah,
let's
get it fixed. Further investigate or see how much it's going to cost.
Yep.
You're thinking that this is a $10,000 fix, and I think it's probably a $1,000 fix. Let's find out for sure.
Yeah. Let's get somebody to come out here and do a remediation on the mold or the fungus or whatever it is. I don't know what words y'all can or can't use and things like that.
I call it what it is, man.
Yeah. So, but like a good buyer's agent will kind of help keep that deal together. That without a calmer head or an experienced person who's seen these kinds of things before and knows how they can be negotiated out, that can kind of keep that transaction together. And then all of a sudden I don't lose my buyer the week before I'm supposed to close on my new home.
Now, the other possibility, so you talked about facilitator. The other possibility is, and I have done this once or twice, I don't like it, is I'm very, very, very clear with that unrepresented buyer that I work for the seller and I am going to work my off for the seller and you are unrepresented.
Yeah.
And look, other than a very small number of people in this world, I guarantee I've done more transactions than you have, and I know how to use the tool that is the contract.
Yeah.
Right? You are at a disadvantage in that scenario.
Yeah.
So you definitely, and I will tell them this, you should hire your own agent.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to because they don't know the contract. Most buyers don't know what's in the contract. Typically, they just sign it unless their agent goes through it with them. And do they know when they have to have the appraisal order? Do they know when the loan has to be applied for? Do they know all these things that technically, if they miss it, they're at a breach of contract and
lose their earnest money.
Hey, you lose your earnest money. Like we're
at
done.
least.
At least.
If not, set yourself up for a lawsuit.
100%.
Have you ever had a buyer that at the last minute decided they didn't want to buy the house and you had to compel them to the closing table?
I had not exactly. I had a seller and there was an unrepresented buyer.
Yeah.
And we did all the disclosure. You were unrepresented, all of that.
Yeah.
And they just didn't show up to closing. And so we ended up in engaging an attorney.
Yeah.
And there was also phone calls to do that. Now, this is not popular, and some people watching might not like this. I have had a buyer that got cold feet realistically after the time that they should have, and I was able to get them out of the contract too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not the right buy for them.
Yeah.
I told them that all along. They went ahead anyway, right?
But at the end of the day, you are looking out for the best interest, and that's the last thing you want is for somebody to buy a house just because.
And we got them out when we shouldn't have, and they got their earnest money back, which they shouldn't have, because there was a little loophole. I knew my tool, right?
Again, it's not that they shouldn't have; it's that you knew how to use that contract as a tool to get what was
one little thing got missed on another side, and by God, we jumped all over it and exploited it.
Yeah.
Because you had a professional agent on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
how many times have we said as a pro tip, hire a professional? And a lot of times we're talking about for your flooring, for your
home inspection.
For
you wouldn't let your neighbor,
your realtor too,
pull a tooth. You'd go to a professional dentist, or you wouldn't get legal advice from your car guy. I mean, you go to a lawyer.
I get my legal advice on Facebook. Actually,
that's the best place to get it because they always have the right answers
with links and everything.
Yeah.
But no, you go to a professional to get the things that they are specialized in. Real estate should be no different.
Yeah. This is a great week. Robin, thank you for coming and hanging
out.
Thanks for having coffee with me. And
you're welcome
me.
anytime. I did. Brian did say in text this morning. I'm going to share our conversation.
Oh God.
He said, "Hey, this is 10 minutes before the podcast was supposed to start." He said, "I hope it's or is it okay if Robin joins us? I've already invited her." And I'm like, so I told him, I was like,
I didn't say that. I said Robin Seay is going to join us if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I was like, I'm going to just start bringing other lenders on at random times. And I said, by the way, you know anybody from Rocket Mortgage or NVR?
And I said, Robin just did the transaction with NVR. I think she knows one.
I'm in the middle of one right now.
Okay, there you go.
Me too. What do you know?
Hey, but because I had that buyer rep agreement in place, I negotiated my full commission on that one.
That's right.
And you're going to earn it too.
Yes, I am.
Always. Hey, you know what? You opened that door. I'm taking it. New construction. New construction. There is not a buyer transaction in the world where it is more important for you to have your own agent
Good point.
as new construction.
Yeah.
And I know, listen, I know that nice, pleasant, typically physically attractive male or female, whatever, agent sitting in that model home, I know that they are the nicest person ever and that they're going to take great care of you. They don't work for you.
They're not going to take great care of you.
They're not.
They don't work for you.
And they're going to probably try to encourage you to sign something right there on the spot. Don't do it.
They do not work for you. They work for the builder. And when, not if, when something slides a little bit sideways, their advice is going to be in the best interest of the builder.
Always. Always.
It might be slanted like it looks like it's in your best interest, but it is in your best interest to keep the deal together in favor of the builder.
Yep.
Yeah.
So love y'all on-site agents, but you don't work for my buyers.
And you don't have their best interest.
You can't. Fiduciary.
It's your, yeah. I mean,
Like legally, you
your
can't.
job is to sell houses for that builder.
Yeah.
And they're good. Like there's some good on-site
smooth.
sales
They're
agents.
smooth.
I'm
And
telling
Listen,
you.
some of them are super nice, and some of them will absolutely, mostly do the right thing.
And a lot of them are like used car salesmen too. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to make it look like a shiny penny.
Yep, but you need somebody working for you. That's what matters.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Yeah.
All right.
We did it.
Trent,
Good week.
Yes, sir.
appreciate you.
Good stuff, y'all.
Hey,
We'll see
you're
you.
still bald.
I know. Okay. Back at you. Back at you. Good stuff, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I was blowing up during that.
I was like, one of y'all's phone is going.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Week in Real Estate with Jonathan Harmon and Bryan Nale, your go-to resource for all things real estate in Middle Tennessee. Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. We will see y'all on the next one.
Now for the nitty-gritty. Primis Mortgage Company is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC. Primis Mortgage NMLS number 1894879, BK number 1042893, ML number 1894879. As always, all loans are subject to credit approval and product guidelines. Equal housing lender.